You're gonna do about the
win. And pretty much if those two things fail, then we just have to start aggressively cutting stuff from Cocoon.
Like the Cocoon.
Yeah.
But that's the coolest looking thing in there. It's like the
So yeah, the unfortunate thing to all this is, like episode 2 was our vertical slice, and we never got to perform on iPhone 4.
If there's any kind of assistance that the Umbra guys can offer, I could probably hook that up. So
yeah,
let me know.
I'll let you know. I should have a reasonable idea of like what state it is in and how screwed we are or not screwed by Thursday.
I hope this isn't true, but I feel like we're going to run into some problems, and it's better to know about them sooner rather than later so we can come up with creative solutions.
And Darcy and I have talked about this in terms of QA resources. The demand on testing in every department, but particularly QA gets larger because you have to make sure not just the new episode, but how it relates with the other ones. So we're cool right now, but kind of looking at that in the near future.
I don't have room for anything else.
It seems this door requires Omni Level 2. You can upgrade your OmniView software at a demon server. I'm detecting a demon server near the Overseer's office. The nearest approach is from the museum. The librarian's portrait has been taken down. I hope this is only a symbolic gesture.
It's the right thing to do. Librarian OK's decision to protect precals from literary rot. Do you want me to literally eat my words?
Oh, I am sorry, Miss Sade. I should not have thrown that newspaper at you. But how could you write this? I did not agree to ban books. The very implication hurts me to the bottom of my soul.
Well, I am sorry about your hurt bottom. But I used only direct quotes from you, librarian. See here. You said about Fahrenheit 451, and I quote, "It is worse than distasteful. It is revolting." Your words.
You asked me what I thought about the burning of books, not the book itself.
You did say it, though.
This is insanity. You are shameless.
Then take it up with the overseer. And pick up this mess on your way out.
This may come in handy. I hope they can't see me here. I hope they can't see me here.
No sign of the girl.
I'll check his pockets. Nice. I hope they can't see me here.
No sign of the freak out. NPR.
Pasternak, in the Soviet Union, wrote a book critical of the October Revolution. Can you think of anything more stupid? Beyond that, Zhivago and Laura cuckold a servant of the state, and Pasternak has the gall to ennoble their sin as a mystic union. The worst form of physical love, betrayal, is favored over the physical sacrifice of a soldier for his country. I despise freewheeling artists, librarian.
One of my favorite designers, the mastermind behind Blueprint 3D, is at it again. This time he has players solving simple math equations while searching for numbers in a sea of digits. Sometimes the number you're looking for is right in front of your face. Speaking of faces, mine melted when I completed my first numerity puzzle. The camera zoomed out and revealed the hidden picture. Boom. Mind blown.
I hope they can't see me here.
If we go with the idea that you have to answer it, or like the children have to answer this in order to come see him,
Right.
it makes sense for this to be the stairway to heaven, right, which goes up to his office.
Correct.
If it's going to be to the pyramid room, then it would be more like a pastor recovery.
Yeah, see, that makes a lot of sense. Sorry, one thing that kind of bothers me about the quiz about the overseer is that Hope would know all those answers because she probably knows all that. She's been trained or taught all those kinds of things.
She would know.
Oh, I don't want to overthink it, but don't you think that's kind of weird? Like, she's been through that museum before, right? We have to assume.
Yeah, but maybe it's not just like super obvious stuff. Maybe there's more details about certain things that it. That's why, like, originally when I thought it was POI, I thought like you were scanning like important like details about these objects that weren't necessarily like. If there's speaker boxes in the museum, then yeah, it's a little more like, okay, everyone should know these. But if there's scannable POI, then it's something that like Hope might not know. It's something like only you might be privy to because you're like hacking it or scanning it.
But then it goes more towards a security thing and not something that children would know to answer this question to go see them.
Yeah,
I think we could potentially put a POI in there that's like, you know, we've updated it to be more difficult. There are too many people like harassing the overseer or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing that has some other facts, and we could even have Hope say something where it's like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, or something like that.
To get into the headmaster's office upstairs, we will need his PIN code. I don't have it in my files, but we can recover it. We'll need to answer some security questions first.
I hope they can't see me here.
False prophet infiltrates Metamorphosis. Masquerading as Prizrak, man brings toxic agenda to our perfect garden. The man's name is Zager, I believe. Daniel Marcus Zager. Apparently he was some kind of journalist on the outside. If the Overseer was smart, he'd label this as an act of supreme jealousy. After all, ours is a nation so wonderful that people risk death to sneak inside. Maybe we should take the initiative and lead with this angle.
The first draft rumbled from my mind and shook the page like a 9.0 earthquake. The pen was merely the needle on the seismograph, recording the shock waves.
they can't see me here.
No use hiding.
Going in to pick his pockets. I got something.
Seriously, what are they putting in the water in Malmö, Sweden? It must be a mixture of soma with a healthy dose of caffeine, because these Simlogo folks keep producing fun, unique, and totally off-the-wall games. Device 6 is quite the mind-bender. It's great to have such an original interactive take on the written word.
Checking in.
I'll hold on to this.
No sign of the girl.
I hope they can't see me here.
No sign of the pre-cal.
I hope they can't see me here. Let's go for the steal. Nothing.
Situation is clear.
Ellison, who lets his nameless protagonist vacillate between conforming as an amnesiac of racial disadvantage and recalling all the doors locked by white hands. Belonging versus integrity. This book keeps open and raw such dichotomies, like festering wounds, while preserving an outdated model of social conflict. Invisible man should remain invisible. Salman Rushdie is about as much an idiot as Pasternak, particularly when he waxes political in Midnight's Children. Everyone wants freedom from empire until they must deal with the dolor of life without empire. His liberation of India is a distorted poetic dream. Revolutions happen unknown, except to the prescient few who take the reins. And in our time, those reins are cables that choke undesired information from the public eye.
Why, librarian, you look like you've seen a ghost.
I see many ghosts on these walls. Why would you take pictures with monsters, and worse, display them proudly?
I have sat for pictures with many important people, even people I find disagreeable.
I suspect you mean me. How could you stand beside this man here?
Not a fan of the Generalissimo, are we?
I crossed an ocean to escape Franco's brutality, only to find his brand of fascism had been imported to Argentina.
Well, I can't speak to that, but I will say I found our meeting quite pleasant. He was an excellent conversationalist, and his taste in wine impeccable.
I've been this way before. We're getting closer to the headmaster's office. This may come in handy.
The girl has found one of the banned books. The overseer has banned many books inside of Metamorphosis. As the poor librarian upstairs once said, it is better to ban a book than to burn it. Talk about taking lemons and making lemonade. I wonder if there are more books like this one lying around.
Pasternak in the Soviet Union. Kafka's Metamorphosis. Best to keep using the German title. Die Verwandlung. We cannot risk cross-contaminating the name of our grand experiment with this simplistic trash. This book portrays the act of transforming one's essence as a vile and isolating experience. Such misinterpretation would burden our children with doubt toward our own ends. Squash this vile bug, librarian.
Found a cassette.
If you find a cassette player, perhaps you could hear what is on it. I remember seeing an old boombox when we ransacked one of Zager's hideout.
We owe a debt of gratitude to those giants whose shoulders we've stood upon. The earlier they lived, the larger their stature, and so the greater our debt. While the 20s roared in America, they screamed like a Siberian windstorm in Vladimir's hometown of Simbirsk. Controversial man of the people, he was surely. And the fact that he spent time in political exile makes him that much more admirable, in my estimation. His detractors would call him an opportunist, and they would be right. But Yataro Iwasaki was given nothing less than the modest opportunity to bring an entire nation into the modern age, and he succeeded. The nerve of him. A personal favorite. For those who would criticize him for his monopolistic tendencies in the early 20th century, I say, shout it from the rooftops, or, barring that, hop online and voice your disdain in a chat forum. He would appreciate the irony. Plato's keen eyes peered further into the future than any of his Grecian contemporaries. He was, and will remain, the most vocal supporter of the classic Republic, and its earliest. Her death in 1952 was a tragedy, not just for the Argentine shirtless who idolized her, but for the anti-Peronists who celebrated her demise. Christ had a similarly divided populace to contend with, and like Eva, succumbed to sacrifice at the age of 33. The father of Europe was besieged from all sides by pagan tyranny. And then in the year 800, he did a most remarkable thing. He held the hands of secularism and religion and married them together in what would later be called the Renaissance. It is difficult to write a story as it unfolds, but to wait until it's finished is to risk butchering the telling of it. I would rather strain the wrists of those taking my dictation than cause even a modicum of butchery.
I didn't make that statue light up. Something's wrong. The statue didn't illuminate. What happened? The statue lit up. I think we did something right.
Plato's. While the 20...
To start over. statue lights went off. We must have picked the wrong one. That worked. Let's try the next one. That didn't work. The statue lit up. I think we did something right. They aren't lit up anymore. We have to start over. That worked. What's next? This statue's already activated. The statue lit up. I think we did something right.
His detractors would call him
That worked. Let's try the next one.
her death in
We have to start over. The statue lit up. I think we did something right. A new statue lit up. The statue lit up. I think we did something right. That worked. What's next? The statue lights went off. That worked. Let's try the next one. We have to start over. A new statue lit up. That worked. What's next? The statue lit up. I think we did something right. That worked. What's next? That worked. Let's try the next one. You've solved it. You're a natural at puzzles.
How's the weather in your corner of the world? What if I tell you, are you going to try to guess my location? No, I've about given up on that. It's been insufferably hot in D.C. Then why are we meeting here? I'm sorry? Why not do this on the isn't built yet. What? I was told construction began a month after the attack. This is the U.S. government you're talking about. Maybe you've heard of us. Our contractors get paid twice as much to take twice as long. Unbelievable. Right this way, sir. Watch your step. Please, sit. Coffee? I want a whistleblower. Coffee? I'm serious. We can talk about that. We're going to have to talk about that. If you want to hand the reins to someone who won't let the horse forget who's in charge. I'm afraid I don't follow you. That's your problem. You've got too many leaders and not enough followers. You should be following me. All of you should. Okay, let's table that for a second. Say we get you a plant, and this plant blows his whistle in a year. Or 2 months. Or whenever. They're still not about to dismantle their entire surveillance infrastructure over some bad press. I'm afraid you're right. This is where I need your help, Vice Admiral. If you get me on board and in command, then it won't matter how red their faces turn, or if they turn red at all. They won't have to privatize under pressure either. I'll already hold the reins. But we'll give it a name. Carnival. The Arrival. It doesn't matter. And we'll play act our way into the driver's seat. I can't even imagine. Leave imagination to me.
Headmaster's office. I remember being here as a young girl. At least I think I was. Someone's coming. What do I do?
Unqualified disaster. And on the eve of the arrival, no less.
Everything is fine, sir.
Fine? You were assaulted by a Prizrak, and you let altered... Copies of the manifesto reached the
I
children.
have the situation under control.
I'm beginning to think your definition of control is different than mine. They don't respect you because you don't wear the uniform. It's a weakness. It puts you at risk. This is an historic night for us. There can be no room for error.
I understand.
Then you understand why Derringer will lead the arrival.
What?
I'm sorry, my dear. We all appreciate the fine work you do with the kids. But you lost sight of what's most important. Protecting me.
So, I can lead the arrival.
Murray, you speak the language of diplomacy. Derringer speaks the truth. Truth hurts. This isn't a dismissal. Derringer will still need your help when we get resettled.
Yes, sir. The mentor is an asset to our cause. I look forward to hearing her ideas going forward.
What's your step?
She's weak. I hope that's all it is. Where was Murray when the Prizrak attacked her?
The section, outside the library. I'll look into it.
It's hard to know who to trust these days. It seems we're running a loyalty deficit around here. I don't mean you, Quinn, of course. I know I can trust you. Wait. I never forgot this before. Must be old age.
No chance, sir. You just got a lot on your mind tonight.
Quite so. Come, young man, let's get to the surface.
You just acquired a fingerprint from that glass. Normally, the overseer wouldn't be so careless as to leave a usable print. But recently, in celebration of Zager's capture, the big man poured himself a stiff drink, and for a moment, let his guard down. Those pristine white gloves came off, and he was one of us for a day.
Gentlemen, I wish to resign. This is grossly inappropriate.
Inappropriate.
You are burning books. I have seen it with my own eyes. The books I procured for you.
Each book has been scanned into our servers and is now part of our digital catalog. You're merely hung up on nostalgia.
You are erasing history.
These books are my property now. I can do with them as I please.
No. I cannot be a party to this. I wish to leave immediately.
First you want to resign, now you want to leave?
I assume the implication was apparent.
You're not going anywhere.
You cannot keep me here against my will.
In fact, I can. You, like the books, are now property of the state. You will continue to fulfill your obligations to the pre-cals until I decide what to do with you.
I have a few suggestions, sir.
Librarian, may I come in?
Ah, Headmaster, welcome. Ay, Dios mío. Who is this fierce creature?
It's an Ainu owl, librarian. My ancestors carved these from the amber trunks of Japanese spindle trees. I want you to have this one. Modest housewarming gift, nothing more.
Well, muchas gracias, señor. It's a handsome piece. I shall place it here on this shelf.
No. Lend it a bit more prominence. It's meant to be set out in the open.
Ah.
This way it can bring you luck.
Well, it's...
The eyes. Yes. They are a touch piercing. But that's the idea, you see. The owl is ever watchful. He will protect you day and night.
Ah, yes, well, it's truly, how can I...
Oh, you're welcome.
Dawnmaster faces swift reprimand. Mireille Prideaux found with contraband. Overseer, none of us are above the law.
Miss Sade, it has been a pleasure speaking to you, but I must get up early tomorrow.
Look, I'm turning off my tape recorder.
This is no longer an interview. We're just two people talking. Perhaps one more glass?
A short one, then.
Where do you get the wine from? I thought we weren't allowed contraband from the outside world.
Off the record? I have been here long enough. I am allowed certain liberties.
You receive special treatment?
I know how big my cage is. At the end of the day, we are all equally inferior in the eyes of the Overseer. Don't you dare print that, Miss Sade.
I promise. Strictly off the record.
Okay, last thing I have is we just want to get some clarity, final answer on the statue puzzle, and then we can get you guys out of here.
Yes. So now one thing I just want to raise is, depending on the puzzle, like we just have to expect this with the iteration. We may find that that the guard in that room does not suit well to the puzzle. I'm not saying we're not going to try that. I'm just saying we might iterate to find that we have to pull the guard out of that space. That's not what I want, especially not Ryan Payne.
Yeah, my concern is that it would be nice if there was a safe spot, right, on either side that you could you keep her over there.
No, for sure.
You send her out, interact, get her back.
So here's the tricky thing. Essentially, if we want it to be a hope needs to interact, that kind of requires an interactive animation, and those in general put her into usually compromising positions. She's standing up, she's standing out, and that's not very stealth.
I think that's part of the challenge, right?
Yes.
And so as long as she does it pretty easy, I imagine once she finishes, she's back in normal hope, and then she would auto cover. All right, so here's the statue. Here's the panel or whatever. It's not cover,
so it's set off
and it's
from it.
1 meter away. So we can make it so it's separated from there. So if she needed to do cover around the whole thing, she could. And it's separated far enough that you can have a press that would be very clearly this or very clearly this. That's what I was kind of imagining.
You now have what you need to access the librarian's office. I know the girl is anxious to find him.
Welcome to my domain. What would you like? Lure a prisoner away from the trolls. Come back anytime.
Good idea. We can recharge here. My pockets are full.
What do you got?
I'll check his pockets. He's not carrying anything. I'll take this.
Illustrating in pointless detail one's sexual perversion does not make for good writing. Miller's Tropic of Cancer is about as sexy as cancer itself. Our beloved precals must never suffer the caustic eruptions of desire this book desires to make possible. Like Innocence Lost, circulated contraband cannot be totally retrieved, but it may be tended. When we remove the object of desire, we erase the possibility for dissent.
The girl is no doubt anxious to see the librarian. You now have what you need to access the librarian's office. I suggest you return to the library. His office door is located on the second floor.
Taser. I'll take this.
A caterwaul for pulp and glue fetishists. Those bleeding hearts decry book burning, yet fail to cross-check their e-readers. We can alter the digital version with profound sleight of hand. No smoke, no ash, but the effect is the same. And all at a temperature more manageable than Fahrenheit 451. I'll spare you the irony of burning this one, librarian. Technology has done your job for you.
The overseer runs this library like a wild animal preserve. Look, but don't touch.
So the purpose of this is what? Like, what is the overseer and like the guys at Metamorphosis? What are they using this space for? Because we're gonna have a 3D printer.
Yeah.
initially I'm thinking maybe it makes sense that this is like where they print the manifestos, but
Yeah.
we've explored that idea before. Maybe we didn't want to do that. I can't remember.
No, I like that idea. In fact, I was thinking like you had like the file for like the poison manifestos. Maybe like you got them from like Zager's Dark Room.
Oh,
or
right,
whatever,
right,
like,
right.
And you plug that USB in there, and then start printing out the doctored manifestos. You know, that they're trying to like collect. You're printing out more of them.
We might not be able to do a puzzle based on that, but we probably should have some kind of hint that this is what Zager used to get Dr. Manifestos to people. So remnants of Zager should be the POIs.
Can we think of anything specific, or are we just going to leave it high level right now?
No, I think we should think of some specific
Yeah.
things.
Maybe one of the Zager tapes can like appear if you. Turn
But it's not a
it over.
POI though. I mean, it's a good note. I'll take a note of that. Like that's good. Zager tape. And maybe that's maybe we have one POI on the conveyor belt and a Zager tape on the conveyor belt.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty cool. Maybe it could just be like a Cooper POI, and you'll be like, oh, these are like the conveyor belts, blah 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 blah. You know, they were shut down after like it was suspected Zager used it to produce the manifesto.
Perfect opportunity for an angry voicemail from Derringer, like some like a phone on the wall, like how did you guys let this guy get through?
Okay.
They won't find me in here.
I completely agree with Stephen that we're trying to make a tool to help people make our game more accessible, essentially. And going back to the legend, it wouldn't just be for items in map view necessarily. It would also include symbols we use throughout the game that have confused our players. For instance, the beast, skull and crossbones symbol, which people have found confusing.
A lot of explanation or tutorialization.
Exactly, and that's kind of what we're hoping to achieve here. It's supposed to provide information to our players.
Yes.
And the less information we provide to our players, I feel we're just shooting ourselves in the foot.
Is map mode more of just like an aid, or do we want the player to be able to like interact in like meaningful ways, like maybe set up like a distraction or something like that in map mode, or like?
Yeah, I think it's just an aid to playing.
Okay.
I think it could definitely be. If we use it correctly, we could turn it into an aid, in my opinion. Like, if there's a situation
over the course of a whole episode. So.
Exactly. I think what you'll find out is like there's gonna be a lot of people that aren't gonna touch map mode because they're kind of like us. Like they just get the game, they understand it, and it's not a necessity. But there may be that one or two times of like, don't I have a map mode? And then they open it up like, oh, well, I might want to use this more often now because they realize it's a useful tool.
The Overseer runs this library like a wild animal preserve. Look, but don't touch.
So I'm okay with people going through the laser puzzle if they don't have a blueprint, and they get to a door. But there's no payoff to like you're saying. It's like, okay, here's a random room with like a 3D printer, and I don't even know why I even need to be in this room. I don't even know what this thing's for.
Yeah.
And I know it's not like super elegant, but I think we can come up with like a decent solution for disallowing players to even enter the 3D printer room and loading that whole scene, realizing they don't have what this thing needs, and then having to load another scene to go back. And either Hope can say it or Cooper can say, you know, entering this room requires a blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think gating a door with a blueprint is really dumb. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's really silly.
I am still concerned, like, how do you ever get back on track when you get there? Like, is Cooper, like, if you called into the help desk, would the last thing Cooper would tell you to be looking for is like a secret room on the first floor?
Yeah.
Okay. Look for the music. Look for the music, yeah.
Or maybe listen for the music.
Yeah, listen.
I mean,
Cooper is like, no.
Smell for the music.
Cooper's not great with words.
No.
He's not very poetic.
You're saying I'm not great with words.
Wait, no. I'm Cooper.
Oh, that's right. You're Cooper.
I'm Cooper.
Okay.
Hey, dog, are you Cooper?
I'm Cooper.
Are you okay?
You know, I'm just trying to like.
You got this? I want you to feel good about this, man. This is your game.
Allergies, huh?
Yeah.
You gonna be okay down in LA?
I'll be fine.
Unless it's like the smog that'll make you tear up, like the. You don't have to worry about.
It's
like nature is not going to screw up your sinuses. Don't worry down there. Because there is none.
taser.
Sputnik, Sweetheart, and its protagonist, K. A dutiful man who accepts his place in the pecking order. Nothing distasteful thus far, yet Murakami insists on criticizing the social mold that makes a man valuable at all. Effective coercion works within, but knowing so much is not in our citizens' best interests. Box this up, librarian.
He's just up these stairs. Librarian! Librarian! Senor Octavo? Librarian! Oh no! You're making it up. Stop it. Stop it. It's okay. I shouldn't watch this.
The girl activated a video that appears to have been recorded only moments ago. I presume it relates to the dead librarian. It's important that we determine what happened. However, she's not accustomed to witnessing violence. It's difficult to anticipate how it will affect her.
Senor Octavo, just the man I want to see.
Hello, Derringer. To what do I owe this pleasure?
Good book.
It is a classic.
Not just a classic. I mean, it's actually good.
How can I help you?
Why does this guy, Edmond Dantes?
Dante.
Dante, right. Why does this guy tell Maximilian that his girl is dead?
For revenge.
No, Maximilian's his friend.
Yes, you are. You're right, of course.
Damn it, man. You have read this, haven't you?
Of course, yes. I meant, it has been a while.
Why does Dantes put his friend through so much misery?
I think the point is to teach a lesson. You cannot know happiness unless you have been exposed to tragedy.
Can't know hope without despair.
I believe that is it, yes.
Kind of like the pre-cows. They don't know up from down, good from bad. They got no perspective because they don't have a clue about the outside. Or do they?
This is an intriguing intellectual exercise, Derringer, but it is late and
Why'd you give the kids the Poison Manifesto?
I did not.
What do you do in that hidden room downstairs?
What room?
Think we can't hear that god-awful music bleeding through the walls?
I just read, and
Reading Sega's trash.
I have seen it, yes, but I would never act on it.
Conspire against us.
No.
You were planning to help the children escape.
No, Derringer,
What happened?
She has to know that, like, what this video means. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much. I have a feeling we can just get away with it pretty.
She's
Without
like,
explaining.
oh no, I
Yeah.
know what this
Yeah.
is. I don't want to watch
and
this.
because you don't know what she's seeing,
Mhm.
and we don't activate the POI until she's done that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know, and so you can almost see the reflection on her.
Mhm.
She's like, oh no, I know what this is, and she turns it off, right?
Okay.
And then it becomes a scannable POI if you want to choose it. The only problem with this, like 100%, is that it does. People might scan it just to have it.
I would actually want to cancel
but
those
but
POI.
the players wouldn't know.
You have to physically make her, tell her, use this computer.
Well, I believe that, like, since we're not forcing the player to watch what I think is a very pivotal and important, like, story beat.
Yeah.
You know, since we're giving them that option, we should at least force the option. Meaning, like she should turn it on, or so, you know, as opposed to, like, what if, like, they never even tap on it and they don't even know that, like, it was like this choice that they had to make or whatever. I mean, then they just wouldn't watch it at all. I want to at least tease the idea that, like, there is something important here, even if you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we could probably sell it in a way that isn't weird for players. That she knows. She's like, I think I know what this is for sure.
Yeah, I think she could just see Derringer's face on the screen and go, like, Derringer did this, didn't he? Like,
it gets back to the question of, like, what's the mechanic, like what activates this thing? Because I'm kind of in the fence about if it's a scannable POI.
Yeah.
Because on the other hand, 100%, because there's gonna be other moments in, like, episode 3 where you're gonna scan some personal information of hers we've talked about. You have, in order to get 100%, you have to do that. You have to kind of be Big Brother. Isn't that kind of part of what we're saying?
I'm a little relieved you chose not to show that video to the girl. Still, it feels a bit like censorship, keeping it from her.
Senor Octavo?
Un momento. Buenos días.
You Senor Octavo?
Sí, I am Luis Octavo, yes.
My name's Quinn Derringer. My employer contacted you.
Yes, of course. The mystery man who pays me twice what I ask. Did he receive the books yet?
He did. And he thanks you. He'd like to thank you personally.
Of course. Tell him to come in at any time.
He's not in Buenos Aires. Is your passport in order?
My passport? What is this about?
My employer has some more work for you.
The mystery man? What sort of work?
That's the mystery.
Well, where would I go? Oh, impossible. I cannot close my shop.
My employer thinks you can. He'll pay whatever you ask.
He doesn't even know my price.
But he knows you have one. You got a number in your head, senor?
I do.
Good. Double it. Where's your passport at?
Oh, no. Wait a minute. How long will I be gone?
Just a few days. I promise.
I'll hold on to this. trouble, Weep.
No, we're not. He would never turn us over to Mireille.
He might if he caught us smoking his cigarettes.
Don't drag on it so long.
How do you know about this stuff?
I read a book.
One of Senor Octavo's books?
No, it was the manifesto. He has a whole chapter dedicated to smoking.
You're making fun of me.
What the hell's up with that bird?
The Zager cassette. Dear Senor Octavo, thank you so very much for giving me a copy of Labyrinths by Borgia. Each of the stories was fascinating. I especially enjoyed the one called The Library of Babel. It made me think of you, surrounded by all those books, overwhelmed with the infinite number of ideas they contain, and left wondering which books contain the truth and which are false. Is it true you knew Borgia and discussed literature with him? If so, I am positively envious. Thank you again for the stimulating read. Your friend, 390H. I'll be taking this.
Paine is best read as a comedian librarian. For Paine, constitutions come from rights, charters create chaos, and monarchs require oversight against corruption from all whose interests fall short of the state's well-being. We are beyond constitutions, charters, even monarchs. We are communication itself. These so-called rights of man must not radicalize anyone into thinking otherwise.
I don't have room for anything else.
There's music coming from behind the first floor bookcase. Derringer accused the librarian of having a secret room. Could it be behind the bookcase?
Welcome to my domain. What are you buying? Leaving so soon?
Everything looks good.
Marquez would have you believe he's a prophet? A man possessing otherworldly insight into how each state's downfall is predetermined? Well, surely he did not predict how his rampant vulgarity and celebrations of incest in 100 Years of Solitude would play before the court of his own state's generous overseers. I say we banish him for life, plus a century, librarian. Pain is best...
Y390H. I see you're admiring our latest installation.
Why do you keep these books away from us? I can handle them.
Maybe you're right. However, there are others in your class who are not as strong as you. And books like those can make them sick. Would it be fair to let you read them, but keep them from your friends?
That doesn't sound fair.
Well then, so are you saying you would prefer that they read them too? Will you have their illness on your conscience?
I don't want that either.
Of course not. I am not a filter for your ideas, child. I am your shield. There is so much ugliness in this world. Let me stand in the way of it. Let me stare it down. Your eyes are too pretty to witness such things.
I appreciate the compliment, Headmaster. What's yours is mine.
Salinger, amateur sculptor of teenaged angst. In Catcher in the Rye, he forces us to watch Holden flit from school to school. Oh, poor Eo, tormented by Hera's gadfly. When Caulfield realizes that he, not the institutions, beleaguer him the most, he is truly at risk. Our beloved pre-cows must never know their gadflies and ever rely on their Republique to satisfy. We don't need another Mark David Chapman.
Good idea. My battery was getting low.
Reporting.
Zager's silence deafening. The notorious terrorist is quiet, scheming. The arrival is just weeks away, and public enemy number 1 has gone radio silent. If the headmaster or overseer, or whatever name he goes by these days, plans to take a bow on the world stage, he can't have a phantom hiding in the wings ready to sabotage his big production. I shouldn't complain. It's going to be one hell of a show. False prophet infiltrates Metamorphosis. Masquerading as Prizrak, man brings toxic agenda to our perfect...
Headmaster, over here.
If it isn't my favorite journalist from the Morning Bell.
It was a brilliant speech, Headmaster.
Why, thank you, Miss Sade.
Please, call me Maddie. Perhaps you could tell your citizens a bit more about the arrival. As much as you can state publicly, of course.
Of course, well, in a matter of weeks, we will take our bow on the global stage. The arrival is our world debut, and once it comes to pass, there will be little doubt that though we are a small nation and few in number, we are a force to be reckoned with.
I'm sorry, I had a follow-up, but I just got lost in the power of your voice.
Why, Matty, please, you embarrass me.
Now, where was I? Oh, right. Your cryptic answers, which I adore, I must add.
Thank you.
But they've left some to speculate that the arrival refers to our ascension as a nuclear power.
Ah, nuclear power. In the 21st century, nuclear power is a contradiction in terms. Let those dying republics split atoms to their heart's content. No, my dear Matty, what our Republique achieved is something far more impressive. And the mark we leave on the world will last an eternity. And though I was born into a world already in progress, with its arcane laws and perverse morality, with a washwoman for a mother and a question mark for a father, I knew that one day I would retire to a country of my own design, free from societal restraint.
We need to find a screwdriver.
Upon completing the first draft, I delivered it personally to a small publishing house in the capital of France, a minor company I acquired and resurrected to suit my needs. I even went so far as to live in the rickety old apartment above the offices to personally oversee the publishing process.
An old Zager cassette.
But this, yeah, the museum is based around the writing of the manifesto, the first edition, right?
Yeah.
But his security questions wouldn't be exactly based on the manifesto and all the questions. It's more about him as a person, but you're gleaning this personal information based on this museum about him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe he can like talk about it in one of like the pushies. Like I remember like as I was going through the hills of blah 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 in whatever country, like I remember like writing this chapter of whatever, and one of the questions can be like, where was chapter 2 of the manifesto written or something.
But, okay. I mean, I think it's like the high level vision. At least what I'm understanding is I think for players to understand what we're trying to do thematically is that, like a lot of this hacking and security and like identity theft and all that kind of stuff is that I think we should be thinking about more general questions that you can glean. The whole thing is like, how do people hack Sarah Palin's email address, right?
Okay. All right, that's fine.
But are you okay with that?
I mean, I'm fine. Yeah, I guess I didn't.
Social engineer.
That wasn't really clicking with me.
How about what's your favorite food? We can tie it into the food that he didn't like that they kept giving him.
Yeah, you keep saying, I wish it was a blah blah blah, right? That's a great idea.
Could we make the pin code that we end up getting from this also be 1, 2, 3, 4? That's the pin code that we've got for getting out of the interrogation room.
Alright, I want to put that as a side note.
Or
I do want to do the 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're like I'm not sure about the interrogation because I think people would laugh, but in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I want them to laugh in a good way because there was an article about how government agencies oftentimes like their passwords and like really sensitive things where ABC 1, 2, 3 was the highest, like most popular one, and like 1, 2, 3, 4 was like.
So maybe the headmasters is 1, 2, 3, 1 interrogation room something actually like intelligent.
Somewhat, yeah.
If you find a cassette,
If freedom of movement is one of the fundamental rights of man, then a prison train, such as this was, provided an ingenious loophole for my scheming captors. They slapped a fresh coat of paint on its rotting sides, and even went so far as to give it a rugged and exciting-sounding name, the Siberian Express.
I think this is a replica of the train the headmaster was held prisoner on.
If the food was bad, the water was worse. Discolored to the point that someone must have dyed it on purpose, and the taste could only be described as septic. Were it not for my robust constitution, I would have succumbed years ago to dementia from all the lead and other heavy metals in that toxic swill. My rations of stale bread and moldy cheese seemed especially cruel, as our prison train crossed the Kama River into the foothills of the Ural Mountains. There, we passed one bucolic farm after another, every field dotted with plump Russian black-pied cattle. Never in my life have I felt so bereft. I would have committed the most heinous of crimes to have tasted the rich, salty goodness of their flesh. They forged me a pair of cold, gray leg irons to match the color of my eyes. A decidedly rare trait I believe I inherited from my Ainu mother. Having tripped over every pesky regulation in my adopted Japan, I decided to advance my study of genetics in America, and I couldn't have arrived at a more auspicious time in history. Within a year, they had put a man on the moon.
I'll take this. Can you open this box?
Over there.
I can't carry anymore. Help! That could have been bad. Target neutralized.
What was meant as a warning to Prizrak to be on the lookout for hiding precals is actually a good suggestion for the girl. Ducking behind the plant is a great way to escape detection. Remind the girl to walk slowly. Hurried footsteps will attract the attention of the Prizrak.
Welcome to my domain. What are you buying? Sorry to see you go.
I found a cassette.
Increase the threat level.
They won't find me. Zero. idea. We can recharge here.
Threat level normal. Proceed with caution.
Quiet, I've got my post secure. Clear. Nothing.
I hope they can't see me here.
Quiet tonight.
There's music coming from behind the first floor bookcase. Derringer accused the librarian of having a secret room. Could it be behind the bookcase?
Caesar. This may come in handy.
This is no mere piece of paper. It is an escape plan. A blueprint for a key, a master key, capable of unlocking any number of doors inside this facility. But that is not all. In the garden, there is a gate to the outside world, a gate to freedom. This key, I am told, will unlock that gate.
But Senior Octavo...
Shh. Un momento. Go ahead, 933W.
You can't stay here.
I'm too old to be tilting at windmills.
But you don't know what the headmaster is capable of.
Sadly, I know all too well. History abounds with men like the Overseer.
He will kill you, recalibrate you.
Were I 30 years younger, things would be different. I would hew to the line that Zager has drawn. But today, I am merely an old academic with failing eyesight. I doubt I can even see the line.
I'll come back for you. For all of you.
Why, 933W, I find your compassion extraordinary.
Call me Weep. I'm not a number anymore.
Ah, yes, Ayn Rand, the bulldozer. She dramatized the struggle for individualism against leeches. In reality, she abandoned such notions the minute they interfered with her own desires. They were socialist figments, in any case, librarian, not the true power structures that shape our lives. I'm afraid the fountainhead cannot flow, stopped up with so much hypocrisy.
But I like the idea of the owl camera being like on a table, and it's much more like you know, not like a surveillance camera. But it's
like,
more
I think my favorite camera from episode 1 was the camcorder and the interrogation, because that's like the perfect way to view that interrogation. Like, not from some up camera, like you are like kind of like they're in your face kind of, and it's contextual.
Right. And it's such like a breath of fresh air after looking this way for so long to finally be down.
Looking down on everyone the whole time.
Yeah, the owl would be so cool because you'd see like the phonograph turning like right below it in like extreme close up, you know, and everything kind of falls away.
We just need to remember to put. He's like, so one of the ideas we have for the overseer's office is that he's got like this bookshelf, and he's got tons of these gifts these like owl cameras that he's giving people, so that could be a scannable POI.
Yeah, the owl upstairs would. Yeah. Right now you'd be like, first of all, why is there a camera in the secret room if it's truly a secret room?
Yeah.
And secondly, why is there a camera in this owl? And why would the librarian put an owl camera in his office and record stuff? And then when you go up there, there's like 3 of them on a shelf, and you click on one of them, and it's like, thank you for this gift. It's like, it's like overseer. It's like, woo! It's an old I knew owl. It's like,
I've got just the spot for this.
Just make sure you face it somewhere, like with the eyes facing out on the room,
But
so
then
it
you
can
have
look.
to give them a motivation to keep it in a secret room.
Yeah. So the librarian doesn't realize it's a camera, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, thank you. You brought a Trojan horse into
I love
his secret room, basically.
Cool.
I'll hold on to this.
A blueprint of the Overseer's master key. The librarian suggested this key is required to escape from the facility. I know of a 3D printer located in archives. With this blueprint, the girl can manufacture a key.
Checking in.
Oh no, Chris. Oh.
The girl must be extra careful around here. Some of my fellow Prizrag are wearing arc suits. It's protective armor that can withstand a direct taser attack. These guys are trigger happy and won't hesitate to attack the girl if they get the chance. Worst of all, their patrols are unreliable, meaning they could show up anywhere at any time. Probably best to keep the girl hidden if you spot a Prizrag in an arc suit.
I can't carry anymore. Good idea. My battery was running low.
feel like the only way we're getting a player through these extra steps of the temperature and the materials is through just like a lot of hand-holding and tutorialization, and I think it's a dilution of the puzzle, and that I just think adding these other two things and having this all contained as a puzzle is honestly, I don't think it's intuitive for them to like be putting this together and then taking that and going and doing this and going and doing that. I feel like the larger crowd isn't going to get through that puzzle. I don't agree that it's not an interesting or fun puzzle, but
isn't that essentially what the room is? If what you're saying is, well, at the end of the day, we're going to have to really heavily tutorialize this thing, then what's the point? Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah, a little bit.
But like, then what's the point of doing any of these puzzles?
Because the other ones I don't think are as heavily tutorialized. Like,
but how is? I guess I don't understand like how like the temperature thing would have to be highly tutorialized. Would you say that the statue puzzle is more difficult, or the same, or harder than the temperature side?
I guess they're just different things. Here's what it is. It's a different thing than the rest of the experience. In some sense, like the quiz is too, but that's familiar enough that we don't have to really explain that to players. Going around and doing the statues is a little bit of a variation on the first puzzle, but it's also using mechanics the players somewhat familiar with. And that's why kind of even Kotzia's thing alone is kind of like, a player could spend 15 minutes on that. I don't think we're going to have any problems like reaching that number on Kotzia's puzzle alone.
Going on what Brent said, like, in contrast to our quiz and our statue puzzle, which are basically it's one mechanic, it's one gimmick. Sorry to say that, but this puzzle is basically 3 puzzles in one, and each puzzle has its own player, is going to have its own player round, and therefore it's going to have its own like tutorial curve that we're going to need to hit.
I wonder if this is what the blueprint's for. Is there a way to turn it back on? All right, now I think we need to configure the blueprint. did it. This key's identical to the one the headmaster used in his office. Let's go there now.
The girl has the key. Let's get her to the surface. Head back to the overseer's office.
I'm just kind of curious, like, from what you think, Doug. Would you want to go down the path of yours, or would you want to go down the path of Yusuke's, or would you want to try to do both?
I mean, that's the thing is like Sam was saying, like I think it's a really good puzzle. At the same time, it sucks now we have two like pretty good puzzles. I feel like designed, and we're kind of like almost talking about chopping one now, whereas like we should try to like use both of them. I don't know how we would use both of them as a thing right now.
I think one challenge we had is when I was describing this thing to Yusuke, he was like, "Yeah, I get it. I don't think it's that cool." I was like, "Well, then make it cool, right?" and he's like, "Okay, is that okay?" I was like, "Yeah, that's why we're hiring you, dude." But then I thought he was going to take this and make some modifications to it, and he comes back with something completely different, which is fine. And I think that's part of the creative process. But I could tell is where his passion is.
Yeah.
You know, with his other thing, which again, I'm fine with it, but I want to make sure you feel okay with it.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I just think it's a shame if in the end we end up scrapping one of the two puzzles rather than trying to find a way to keep both of them. Okay.
Can we release this separately as like a larger, broader, like free-to-play app?
That's what I'm saying. Make all the money.
It was awesome. Did you hear
No.
anything about what we're doing?
Good.
No.
Only what I saw in your very large puzzle spec talk.
Actually, coming out of that meeting, I think even Darcy like left that meeting and be like, "Oh, like it's just gonna be like an NGUI puzzle. Awesome. All right, like."
With Yusuke building all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy Kostya from the Ukraine, he emails me back and I was like, conversation. He's going to deliver his new prototype of it by next. He said by next Wednesday, but I gave him until next Friday. Just so I said we're gonna present it in front of the team at the kickoff.
Awesome.
And so we're gonna have a design sync with him next Friday. So he's got a week. So great. And then I asked him if by the end of M2, which is Valentine's Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If he could have like a near final ready for playtest, and he said sure. I mean, he's just basing this off of his own code.
The rest is also on us though. To
Yeah.
have, like probably like Greg get connected with him and figure out how to do the plugs for our game.
Yes, there are significant, or not, I wouldn't say significant, but there are tasks that need to be done. For example, making sure, because this can be a separate scene in Unity, it's going to load a separate scene, so we have to make sure that what is happening here gets saved into the save profile.
Yeah.
Save load has to happen, and then...
I'm not worried about that because Vince has a lot of experience with like small
Vincent was in that meeting, and he was like, I'm not so worried about that one.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Because you saw the game, it's got like this
Mhm.
architect's house type of aesthetic. We want to swap that in for something that's more Republic, and we're going to have to deliver that to him. So he's going to give us his source files for his game, and we're just going to paint over it so he has the same resolution, everything, aspect ratio.
Is he delivering next week like a standalone thing?
Yes.
Okay.
I was also saying, like, bonus points for the PY that we have in this space is to kind of explain why they have a 3D printer to begin with.
Yeah.
Let's say they are self-contained and they're on lockdown. If you want to get new parts and stuff like that, and you gotta like build them in there, you can't go out to the store and buy like a weed whacker for the garden. You have to like build one.
Right.
So it all kind of makes sense that
that
they are making that. I think this 3D printer thing is kind of like, it's a bigger deal than just to print out the random gun or print out the master key. It's like something they use
for
a lot.
subsistence.
Yeah. What were we going to explain that as? Like, what would that be?
I mean, one way to tie it in is basically in the Derringer email or voicemail, he's like, I want you guys to sweep for clues or prints. And he's like, I also want you to make sure that nobody touched that 3D printer because we need that for our blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah, that's the most important contraption in this whole place.
So that would be another email you're saying? Or
Right,
maybe
we can just include that in the voicemail.
Or in the voicemail?
Yeah, like, it could be a voicemail or email, I don't really care. But it's basically, how did you let Zager get into here to make these poison manifestos? And one of you dummies have got to go check and make sure you didn't disrupt the 3D printer.
Those 4 generators, do we want to try and connect those to the 3D printer? Like, one has liquid metals, one has like liquid plastics, one has, that they make all different types of things.
Yeah.
Kind of like an earth, wind, fire, water thing. We got these 4 like different elements.
That's a cool idea.
In order to make the master key, we need to make sure that they're using the right material.
That's a cool idea.
Okay.
Quiet night.
We did it. If only Senor Octavo were here.
It's been a long time since I allowed someone to speak to me this way, librarian.
I will not shy away from telling you what I see. You are the dark ruler of this world, Overseer.
This isn't a world, yet. Merely a small corner of it. And the darkness you perceive persists only because you refuse to open your eyes. Now, if you will excuse me, I must tend to more pressing matters in the terminus. You don't have access to this part of the complex, so I will bid you farewell. Unless... would you care to see what we've been working on?
Not in the least. It is unreal to me. If I cannot hold it in my hands and smell the history in its pages, it is not there. I don't know what you do, and I don't care. But I do know fascism when I see it. I am well versed in the struggles against it. And I know that you will ultimately fail, as all fascists have failed.
Watch your step.
I will not. You must know this. You're nearly as old as me, but still so naive in the ways of the world. Control is illusory, Overseer. Your network, whatever you call it, I call it a trap. It will not catch everyone. And the ones who slip through it will regroup and stand against you someday. You think because of your fancy computers and your expensive surveillance that you can succeed with those who rose to power in the 20th century failed? You are naive. Control is a lie.
Control is the linchpin of a safe society. We fall apart without it. Now, as you can't seem to control your own emotions, librarian, I'm confident you don't recognize a need for control in society. Good day, sir.
There's an elevator on the other side of the atrium. It's probably the girl's best chance for getting to the surface.
An elevator must lead to the way out. So many buttons. The ninth floor, the top, the surface. No. Why are we stopping? Can you do something here?
I've been looking for you.
No! No!
Calm down. Calm down, or I'll have to tase you.
Help! Help!
Citizens of Metamorphosis, words fail me tonight. I cannot rightfully describe the bleak, chasmal longing that echoes through my heart. Our beloved librarian, Senor Luis Octavo, passed away. Derringer paid him a visit earlier this evening, hoping to discuss his exciting new role as cultural attaché. Instead, he found the Senor lying prone on his office floor, his heart failing. Ever valiant, Derringer sprang into action. He tried desperately to save the poor man. Sadly, it was too late. The librarian succumbed to the great unknown, cradled in Derringer's arms. But in a final act of appreciation, his words, his last words, as he looked up at Derringer, were, "Thank you." As I'm sure has been reported, Senor Octavo and I did not always see eye to eye. Still, I made it a point to listen to his thoughtful and honest assessments of our fair Republique. He was especially critical of our prized surveillance infrastructure. I regret that I wasn't ever able to persuade